Hello, friends. Welcome back. We're going to talk about my first piece of lingerie. It is so fulfilling to see my sewing journey come full circle. I received my first sewing machine and started sewing in December of 2020. I started out with the Sewing Academy, and the thing that rekindled my love for sewing was wanting to sew lingerie. When I say lingerie, I don't really mean like all the lace and thrills, but specifically panties, because I wanted to make a lot of cute panties and then matching bras. It's challenging to go into a store like Lane Bryant or Victoria's Secret. I never find matching sets in my size, top and bottoms. So most of the time I'm mixed matching or I'm just buying bras. Sewing my own lingerie was going to be my solution to that problem. Well, here we are, February 2024, about 3 years and some months later, and I am just now getting around to sewing my first piece of lingerie. Talk about full circle. When I sat down and thought about it, I was like, wow, I finally did it. This is the thing that brought me here. Somehow I got into garment sewing and didn't look back. I thought about it, but I didn't actually do it. But now I can finally say that it has been done, and I feel like I succeeded. So in my Valentine's Day video, I didn't tell you what pattern this was. This is actually a made for Mermaids pattern. It's part of the Lounge and Lace collection. It's called the Loren Teddy, Thong, and Cheeky. There are several variations of this teddy that you can make. You can use lace, regular fabric. You can do this with lining or without lining. You can make this with a thong or you can make a cheeky version. I chose the cheeky version. And let's talk about the sizing in this pattern. There are no number sizes. Everything is a color instead of a number. So I merged the indigo with the blue, the indigo for the bust, and then the blue for the waist and hips. What I liked about this pattern is that the cutting lines are color coded, and this pattern included small and full bust adjustment pieces. So you didn't have to do the figuring out yourself. They included these pieces for you, and thank God they did. One thing that I didn't do that I probably should have done, I should have adjusted for my waist length and decreased the bust cups and probably brought up the waist a little bit. I didn't do that, but it still fit nice, but I would have gotten a much better fit had I done so. The straps on this piece are super long, okay? And this allows for you to wrap and tie this in whatever way you see fit. There is no right or wrong way to tie this teddy. A technique that I did learn, well, I don't know if you call it a technique or I don't know. Something new that I did with this pattern was sew in picot elastic, which is used for like lingerie and things like that. And I also learned a new term. In the instructions, it tells you to pin your elastic 1-to-1 to a certain point and then to stretch at another point. I never heard the term 1-to-1 used before. Good thing is there is a tutorial on YouTube to go along with this pattern. So once I got that far, I did have to follow the YouTube tutorial. And once I learned what that was, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I just never heard it before. Now I wore this all of 2 seconds, but it looked so good. Now, of course, with this fabric, it gives off the look of a swimsuit rather than a teddy. But you can use this pattern and hack it into a swimsuit. Now, I probably won't use this as a swimsuit because it just shows too much cheek. It just shows a little too much cheek for me. So if I were going to make this into a swimsuit, I would make the panties fuller. I still have a lot of threads that I did not snip, but I'm just now seeing. Despite not making the adjustments for the waist length, this still was a pretty good fit, and I made this without a hitch. It came out absolutely great. So I was okay with this looking more like a swimsuit because, like I said, this was my first piece of lingerie that I made, and I didn't want to work with anything that would frustrate me and turn me off from doing lingerie in the future. Next go around, or next pattern that I choose, I will try some lace. I do have lace in my fabric stash. I just haven't worked with lace before, and I didn't want this to be the first time that I worked with lace. I sewed this up in, I think, 1.5 days. I work full time, so I do most of my sewing. If I'm sewing during the week, it is, when I come home from work. So I got most of this done one night, and I finished it up the second night, and I could hardly contain myself. The more I sewed and the more that this teddy began to take shape, I was just more excited. And y'all, this strawberry fabric is like everything. Like, I feel like this was really trending. I know there are a lot of other sewists that also have this fabric. Now, I purchased mine from Hobby Lobby maybe sometime last year, and I actually went back twice. I saw this fabric one time and I was like, I don't need it. But I got home and I started feeling regret for not getting it. So I did go back the next day and I picked up the fabric. I was going to only get 3 yards of this fabric, but when it was measured out, there was going to be like maybe a yard or 1.5 yards left on the boat. So what do you think I did? I got all of it. I got all of it. So if you didn't know, I also pushed out another garment in this same fabric, but you'll have to stay tuned to see what pattern I used for that garment. If you watched my Valentine's Day video, you do know that I made a dress also out of this fabric. I did not reveal the pattern, so stay tuned for that video. And as always, see it, make it, slay it.